The massive crystal dome of the Galactic Council headquarters sparkled under the triple suns of Centauri Prime. Inside, James Miller adjusted his simple Earth-made suit, purposefully wrinkled and slightly outdated by galactic standards. He checked his reflection in the polished wall and carefully messed up his hair a little more. Everything had to be perfect, perfectly imperfect. The council chamber doors opened with a soft hiss. James walked in, making sure to look appropriately impressed by the hovering seats and the holographic displays, just as he had done countless times before. The other ambassadors looked down from their elevated positions, their expressions ranging from mild amusement to barely hidden contempt. "The Earth representative may take his seat," announced the head speaker, a tall, blue-skinned alien. James noticed how they hadn't bothered to raise his seat to the level of the others. Another calculated insult he had to pretend not to understand. His briefcase, made of genuine leather, how primitive, they must think, held enough computing power to run a small star system. But they didn't need to know that. Not yet. "Honored Council," James began, letting a slight tremor enter his voice. "Earth thanks you for allowing us to attend this session." He fumbled with his papers, dropping a few deliberately. Several alien diplomats exchanged knowing looks. The head speaker raised his long-fingered hand. "We are here to discuss the recent incident in Sector 7. Earth ships were spotted conducting unauthorized mining operations beyond their assigned zone. Do you have an explanation?" James widened his eyes, looking worried. "We apologize for any confusion. Our navigation systems are still developing. The ships must have strayed off course." The truth was that those ships had been collecting samples of a newly discovered element, one that Earth's quantum computers had already learned to manipulate in ways that would make the Council's best scientists lose sleep. A representative from the Trade Federation, his scales gleaming under the chamber lights, leaned forward. "Perhaps Earth would benefit from our guidance in developing better navigation systems. For a reasonable fee, of course." "That's very kind," James replied, looking relieved. "I'll convey your offer to Earth's leadership." He made a show of writing it down with an actual pencil, something that made several ambassadors snicker quietly. They didn't know that his pencil contained a scanner mapping the entire chamber and everyone in it, feeding data to the quantum AI hidden in his briefcase. The meeting continued, following the same pattern it had for 50 years. The advanced races offered their help, set their prices, and made their thinly veiled threats. Earth accepted gratefully, played dumb, and kept the greatest secret in galactic history. Back in his private chamber, James finally allowed himself to smile. He opened his briefcase, and a holographic display sprang to life, showing the real-time activities of Earth's hidden fleets. The ships weren't primitive vessels struggling with basic navigation. They were state-of-the-art craft running silent missions throughout the galaxy, gathering intelligence and keeping humanity safe. His communication device buzzed. A quantum-encrypted message from Earth Command. His eyes scanned the text, and his smile faded. The Dominion was making moves, aggressive ones. Maybe the time for pretending was coming to an end. James walked to the window, looking out at the glittering spires of the Council City. For half a century, humanity had played the role of the galaxy's backward cousins. They had endured the condescension, the exploitation attempts, and the barely hidden disdain. All because Earth's leaders had made a wise choice after first contact, to hide their true capabilities until they fully understood the galactic playing field. Now, watching the alien ships cruise between the towering buildings, James wondered how these mighty races would react when they learned the truth. When they discovered that the primitive humans had quantum computers when the Council still used binary systems. That Earth had mastered gravity manipulation, while the others still relied on conventional propulsion. That human eye had evolved far beyond anything the Council races had achieved. The message from Earth Command blinked in his mind. The Dominion was coming, and with them, perhaps the end of humanity's greatest performance. James packed his briefcase, straightened his deliberately crooked tie, and headed for the transport bay. Soon, The galaxy would learn why humans were the greatest storytellers in the universe, because they knew exactly when to end the story and reveal the truth. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Council started with a bang. Literally, the Dominion's representative slammed his metallic fist onto the podium, making the entire chamber vibrate. His black armor, polished to a mirror shine, reflected the worried faces of the other council members. The time for discussion is over, the Dominion warrior growled. Earth has become a threat to galactic stability. Our sensors have detected unusual energy patterns in their system. They are developing weapons beyond their approved technological level. James Miller sat quietly in his lower position, playing with his outdated tablet. Inside, he fought to keep his expression neutral. The Dominion sensors hadn't detected anything. They couldn't have. Earth's stealth technology was generations ahead of anything in the galaxy. This was just an excuse. The head speaker raised his hands for silence. These are serious accusations. Earth's representative, do you wish to respond? James stood up, making sure to stumble slightly. Honored Council, there must be some mistake. We're still working on clean fusion power. Maybe your sensors picked up our test reactor. He looked around the room with carefully crafted confusion, noting which ambassadors seemed genuinely concerned and which were hiding smiles. The Dominion warrior's red eyes flared. Lies. Our fleet has already begun moving to the Sol system. We will establish a permanent presence to supervise Earth's development. For their own protection, of course. His lips curved into what might have been a smile, showing metal-coated teeth. A murmur ran through the chamber. The Trade Federation representative spoke up. This seems rather extreme. Perhaps a diplomatic mission. Your concern is noted. The Dominion warrior cut him off. But our decision is final. Earth will accept our protection, or we will enforce it. They have 30 days to prepare for our arrival. James watched as the council erupted into arguments. Some supported the Dominion's move, others protested weakly, but none actually stood up to oppose them. Just as Earth had predicted, just as they had prepared for. In his hand, the tablet quietly recorded everything. Its primitive exterior hid quantum processors that were analyzing every word, every gesture, every micro-expression in the room. The data streamed directly to Earth Command through channels the Dominion couldn't even imagine existed. Earth's representative, the head speaker's voice cut through the chaos. Do you understand what is being offered? James stood again, letting his hands shake slightly. We request time to consult with our government. This is a big change for our people. The Dominion warrior made a dismissive gesture. Consult all you want. In 30 days, our fleet enters your system. Accept our protection, and your people will be safe. Resist. He let the threat hang in the air. Back in his private chamber, James dropped the act. His tablet transformed, projecting a full holographic command center around him. Reports flowed in from Earth's hidden outposts throughout the galaxy. The Dominion was mobilizing their first fleet, 300 ships by their count. They thought it would be enough to cow a primitive world into submission. A direct channel opened to Earth Command. Admiral Thompson's hologram appeared, her expression grim. How bad is it? They're coming in force, James replied, his voice steady now. The Council won't help, just like we expected. The Neptune fleet is ready, Thompson said. Has been for years. Should we show them what we've got? James looked at the data streams. The Dominion fleet was impressive by the galaxy's standards. But against what humanity had hidden in Neptune's rings, it was like bringing spears to a gunfight. Not yet, he said. Let them come. Let them think they have the upper hand. We'll give them one chance to turn back. One chance to avoid learning why humanity spent 50 years pretending to be weak. The Admiral nodded. And if they don't take that chance? James thought about all the years of condescension, all the hidden advances, all the careful planning. Then we show the galaxy why the best predators don't bare their teeth until it's time to strike. As the Admiral's hologram faded, James looked out at the council city one last time. In 30 days, everything would change. The galaxy thought they were coming to cage humanity. Instead, they were walking into a trap 50 years in the making. Deep within Neptune's rings, where ice and rock danced in eternal orbit, something else moved. Something impossible. The ice crystals parted like curtains, revealing glimpses of metal and light that shouldn't exist. Humanity's true fleet lay hidden here, waiting for the moment to reveal itself to an unsuspecting galaxy. Admiral Kate Thompson stood on the bridge of the Earth ship Nightshade, watching the holographic display of her fleet. To any outside observer, the ships would appear to be nothing more than natural movements in Neptune's rings. The stealth technology that hid them wasn't just advanced. It broke several laws of physics as understood by the Galactic Council. "Status report," she called out, her voice calm despite the weight of the moment. "All ships reporting ready, Admiral," her first officer replied. "The quantum network is stable. AI systems are running at full capacity. The Dominion fleet will reach Mars orbit in 6 hours." Thompson nodded, studying the massive holographic display. Her fleet wasn't large by galactic standards, just 50 ships. But size wasn't everything. Each vessel carried technology reverse-engineered from 7 different crashed alien ships over the past century, improved upon by humanity's best minds and most advanced AI systems. The Nightshade alone carried enough firepower to level a small moon. Not that the galaxy knew that. As far as they were concerned, Earth's most advanced weapons were simple fusion bombs and chemical rockets. "Message from Earth Command," the communications officer announced. "Ambassador Miller's ship is clear of Council space. We're authorized to proceed with Phase 1. Thompson allowed herself a small smile. For 50 years, humanity had played the part of the galaxy's backward cousins. They had endured the mockery, the exploitation, the condescension. All while building this, a fleet that could outrun, outfight, and outthink anything the galaxy could throw at them. "Launch the probe," she ordered. "Let's give our visitors a proper welcome." A small object, no bigger than a car, detached from the Nightshade. It looked primitive, covered in solar panels and crude antennae. The perfect bait. As it moved toward the incoming Dominion fleet, its simple exterior hid quantum computers that could process more data than the entire Galactic Council's network. "Probe is away," the tactical officer reported. "Dominion ships are adjusting course to intercept. They're scanning it with standard sensors." Thompson watched as the Dominion fleet approached the probe. 300 ships arranged in their famous arrowhead formation. It would have been impressive if she hadn't spent decades preparing to face exactly this scenario. "They're launching boarding drones," someone reported. "They think it's just a primitive Earth satellite." The probe waited until the last possible moment before revealing its first surprise. As the Dominion drones approached, it activated its quantum shield, technology that the galaxy thought was centuries away from being possible. The drones crashed against it like waves against a cliff. "Dominion fleet is responding," the tactical officer announced. "They're confused. Energy readings show they're powering up weapons." "Right on schedule," Thompson murmured. She opened a channel to the fleet. "All ships, maintain position. Remember, we're not here to start a war. We're here to prevent one. Let them make the first move." The probe continued its dance, easily evading the Dominion's attempts to capture it. Each failed attempt revealed a little more of what humanity could really do. Quantum shields, inertial dampeners that ignored physics as the galaxy understood it, AI systems that could predict and counter any known combat strategy. "Admiral," her first officer spoke up, "why not just show them everything? Why this slow reveal?" Thompson turned to face her crew, seeing the same question in all their eyes. "Because humanity has spent 50 years learning every detail about how the galaxy thinks and fights. We know them better than they know themselves. And the first rule of any confrontation is this: never show your full hand until you absolutely have to." She turned back to the display, watching as the Dominion fleet grew increasingly frustrated with the probe. "Let them think this is the best we can do. Let them think they still have the upper hand. Because in a few hours, when they try to force their way into our system. She let the thought hang in the air as Neptune's rings continued their eternal dance, hiding humanity's greatest secret for just a little while longer. The real show was about to begin. The Dominion fleet commander stood on his bridge, watching the strange Earth probe with growing frustration. For 6 hours, his ships had failed to capture or destroy the primitive-looking device. It didn't make sense. Earth technology shouldn't be able to do this. "Sir," his second-in-command reported, "we're receiving a transmission." From Earth. A screen flickered to life, showing a simple office with a wooden desk. Ambassador James Miller sat there, looking exactly like the bumbling diplomat they knew from the council chambers. But something was different. His usual nervous smile was gone. "Dominion fleet." Miller spoke calmly. All trace of his diplomatic stammer vanished. "You have entered the Sol system without permission. We request that you withdraw." The fleet commander laughed, his metal-plated teeth gleaming. "Or what, little human? Will you send more of your primitive probes?" He gestured at the view screen, where his ships still chased the elusive device. "That probe," Miller said quietly, "represents approximately 1% of current Earth technology. We've spent 50 years letting the galaxy think we were weak. Consider this a courtesy warning. Leave now, and we can pretend this never happened." The commander's laughter died as Miller's image was replaced by technical readouts. Details of the probe's quantum shields. Specifications that shouldn't be possible. His science officer's hands shook as she analyzed the data. "Sir," she whispered, "if these readings are correct." "Enough," the commander roared. "Launch fighters. All of them. Destroy that probe and show these humans what real power looks like." 3,000 fighters poured from the Dominion ships, their energy weapons charging. The probe didn't try to run. Instead, it started to change. Its simple exterior melted away, revealing a sleek, black surface that seemed to drink in light. What happened next would be debated in military academies across the galaxy for years to come. The probe didn't fire a single shot. It didn't have to. A field of pure quantum energy expanded from its core, and every fighter that touched it simply stopped. Not destroyed. Not damaged. Just frozen in space, their pilots unharmed but unable to move. Miller's face reappeared on the screen. "That's 2% of our capability. Would you like to see 3? In his command chair, the Dominion commander felt something he hadn't experienced in decades. Fear. "This is impossible." "You're lying. Using tricks." "No tricks," Miller replied. "Just 50 years of careful planning. We recovered our first alien ship before we even joined the Council. 7 more followed. We took them apart, learned how they worked, and then made them better. While you were laughing at our primitive technology, we were surpassing everything you thought you knew about physics." The commander's tactical display lit up with warnings. The probe was changing again, its energy readings climbing beyond anything his sensors could measure. Around him, his bridge crew waited for orders, their confidence shattered. "Final warning," Miller said. "The probe has transmitted everything it learned about your fleet's capabilities to our defense network. If you proceed toward Earth, you will be met with force that your systems cannot understand, let alone counter. Choose wisely." The commander stared at his tactical display. 3,000 of his best fighters hung motionless in space, stopped by technology that shouldn't exist. His fleet's sensors couldn't even properly scan the probe anymore. It was as if it existed in dimensions they couldn't access. "Sir," his second-in-command whispered, "we should withdraw. Whatever they're hiding in their system." The commander raised his hand for silence, his proud spirit warring with his tactical training. The humans hadn't killed anyone, hadn't fired a single shot. They'd simply shown that they could stop his best forces with ease. "Fleet," he growled finally, "prepare tow." A new alert blared through the bridge. Deep space sensors were detecting massive energy signatures near Neptune. The ice giant's rings were moving in ways that violated every law of physics he knew. The humans had given their warning. Now they were getting ready to show what happened if that warning was ignored. The Dominion commander made his choice. Pride overcame wisdom. Ambition defeated caution. His voice boomed through the command channel to all 300 ships of his fleet. The humans are bluffing. No race can advance that quickly in secret. All ships, battle formation. We'll teach them the price of threatening the Dominion. As his fleet moved forward, space itself seemed to hold its breath. The frozen fighters still hung motionless, a testament to technology his sensors couldn't explain. But surely that was just one device, one trick. No more. Then Neptune's rings moved. At first, it looked like a ripple, like someone had thrown a stone into the cosmic ocean. Then the ripple became a wave. The ice and rock that had hidden humanity's greatest secret for decades simply parted. Energy signatures off the scale, his science officer shouted. Multiple vessels emerging from Neptune's rings. Size. Sir, they're huge. The Nightshade emerged first, its black hull drinking in starlight. Behind it came the rest of humanity's true fleet. Each ship was easily twice the size of the largest Dominion vessel, their designs unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Sir, his communications officer's voice shook. We're receiving signals from everywhere. Energy readings appearing around every planet in the system. One by one, humanity's orbital platforms shed their camouflage. Around Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, everywhere the Dominion sensors looked, massive defense stations simply appeared, as if they'd been there all along. Which the commander realized with growing horror, they had been. Impossible, he whispered. Their technology level, their resources. His tactical display exploded with new contacts. The human ships didn't use normal engines. They moved by bending space itself. His sensors showed weapons that manipulated gravity, shields that existed in multiple dimensions at once, and power readings that made his finest warships look like children's toys. All ships, open fire. He ordered, desperation creeping into his voice. Show them why the Dominion rules the galaxy. 300 ships fired as one, enough firepower to level a continent. The energy beams streaked toward the human fleet and vanished, not blocked, not absorbed. They simply ceased to exist halfway to their targets. Admiral Thompson's voice came through every speaker on every Dominion ship, calm and almost gentle. That was 5% of our capability. Would you like to see 10? Before the commander could respond, his tactical officer screamed, Sir, our weapons, they're gone. Not destroyed, not disabled. The weapons had simply disappeared from every ship in his fleet, leaving empty mounting points behind. 300 warships had been disarmed in less than a second. As we speak, Thompson continued, similar revelations are happening at every Dominion military base in the galaxy. We've had quantum probes watching you for decades. We know every weakness, every flaw, every secret you thought was hidden. The commander stared at his display in shock. The human ships weren't attacking. They didn't need to. Their very presence, the casual demonstration of power beyond anything the Dominion could comprehend, was enough. Your fleet has a choice. Thompson's voice held no malice, no pride, just quiet certainty. You can turn around and leave the way you came, or you can stay and watch as we demonstrate 15% of our capability. I should warn you, we've never tested anything above 20%. We're not sure what it might do to the fabric of space-time. A new alert flashed on his screen. Reports were flooding in from across Dominion space. Every major military installation had been quietly disarmed. 50 years of human preparation had stripped the galaxy's greatest military power of its teeth in less than 5 minutes. The commander looked at his bridge crew, saw the fear in their eyes, and made the only choice he could. All ships, retreat, full speed. He paused, then asked the question that would haunt him forever. How? How did we not see this coming? Admiral Thompson's response was simple. Because we didn't want you to. Humanity learned long ago that the best way to win a war is to make sure it never starts. Remember that lesson. It's the only warning you'll ever get. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so quiet. Every screen, every hologram, every display showed the same thing. The Dominion fleet in full retreat, running from forces that shouldn't exist. Earth ships that broke the laws of physics. Defense platforms that had been hiding in plain sight for decades. Admiral Thompson stood where Ambassador Miller usually sat, her uniform crisp and perfect. No more pretending. No more playing the part of a primitive species. The elevated seats of the other representatives didn't look so high anymore. Honored Council, she began, her voice carrying easily through the stunned silence. For 50 years, you've known us as the galaxy's youngest spacefaring race. Today, that story ends. The chamber's main display came to life, showing images that made even the oldest council members gasp. Quantum computers that made their best systems look like ancient calculators, ships that could fold space itself, AI systems that had been quietly watching and learning for half a century. We recovered our first alien ship in 1947, Thompson continued. 6 more followed over the next decades, but instead of announcing our discoveries, we studied, we learned, we improved. When we finally joined the galactic community, we made a choice to watch and wait. The head speaker found his voice first. Impossible. Our monitoring systems were exactly as effective as we wanted them to be. Thompson smiled. Every time you scanned Earth, you saw what we wanted you to see. Primitive rockets, basic computers, fusion power still in development. New images appeared. Earth's orbital rings shimmering into view around every planet in the Sol system. Massive shipyards hidden in dimensional pockets, research stations that had been cloaked for decades. While you were discussing how to help Earth develop, Thompson's voice held no accusation, just stated facts. We were solving problems your best scientists thought impossible. While you debated whether to trust us with basic spaceflight technology, we were learning to manipulate the fabric of reality itself. The Trade Federation representative stood up, his scales pale. The resources needed, the energy requirements, were considerable. Thompson nodded. That's why we let you think our mining operations were primitive and inefficient. Every time you caught our ships straying into restricted zones, we were actually setting up quantum energy collectors, power stations that could fuel a small star. The displays showed more. Earth ships using controlled singularities as power sources. Defense systems that could predict and counter attacks before they happened. Communications networks that ignored the speed of light. But why? Someone asked. If you had all this power, why hide it? Thompson's expression softened. Because humanity learned something from studying our own history. Power doesn't equal wisdom. Advancement doesn't equal maturity. We needed to understand the galaxy before we revealed our true capabilities. We needed to be sure we could handle the responsibility. She gestured, and the displays showed the Dominion fleet again, retreating but completely unharmed. We could have destroyed those ships, could have used our technology to dominate everything within 1,000 light years. Instead, we chose to wait, to watch, to understand. The council chamber erupted in questions, demands, protests. Thompson let them talk, watching as 50 years of assumptions and prejudices crumbled in minutes. Earth is not announcing this to claim superiority, she said finally, silencing the chaos. We're revealing it because the galaxy faces threats bigger than petty power struggles. Our long-range quantum sensors have detected things coming from deep space, things that will require all of us working together. The displays changed one final time, showing sensor readings that made the Council's best scientists turn pale. Something was moving in the dark between galaxies, something massive. So now you have a choice. Thompson looked at each Council member in turn. You can fear us for what we've hidden, or you can work with us to protect everything we all hold dear. Earth extends its hand in true partnership, not as a primitive world begging for help, but as equals offering knowledge and cooperation. She stood, her next words echoing in the silence. The time for pretending is over. The time for real cooperation begins. What's your answer? 1 month after humanity's revelation, the Galactic Council chamber looked very different. The elevated seats were gone. Everyone sat at the same level around a circular table, Earth's quantum hologram technology making distance meaningless for the attendees. James Miller sat next to Admiral Thompson, watching representatives from every major race discuss the sensor data from deep space. The fear and anger from the revelation had given way to something else. Hope. Earth's technology had opened doors that the galaxy's scientists had thought would stay closed for centuries. The Quantum Shield Network is now protecting 15 core worlds. A Trade Federation scientist reported, his scales gleaming with excitement rather than greed. Earth's AI systems have improved our production efficiency by 300%. The Dominion's new representative, their former fleet commander, nodded respectfully to Thompson. His pride had been replaced by understanding. Our joint defense exercises are proceeding well. Having our crews trained together has revealed strengths in both our approaches. That's what we hoped for, Thompson replied. Every race has something unique to offer. Earth's advantage wasn't just technology. It was our ability to learn from everyone while keeping our secrets. The head speaker, now simply called the Council Coordinator, pulled up a new hologram. It showed the darkness between galaxies, where something vast continued to move. Thanks to Earth's quantum sensors, we now have 3 months to prepare for our visitors. The question is, are we ready to face them together? Miller stood up, remembering all the years of playing the bumbling diplomat. That's why we reveal ourselves now. Humanity spent 50 years watching the galaxy, learning its strengths and weaknesses. We saw amazing things, art that could move souls, music that could heal minds, philosophy that could change hearts. But we also saw division, mistrust, races fighting for scraps while missing the bigger picture. The chamber's displays showed Earth's hidden fleet, now joined by ships from every major race. The designs were merging, combining the best of each civilization's technology with Earth's quantum systems. What had started as a revelation of power had become something more, a renaissance of cooperation. The threat coming from deep space is unlike anything any of us have faced, Miller continued. But for the first time, we don't face it alone. Earth didn't hide its power because we were afraid. We hid it because we were waiting for the right moment to help unite the galaxy. Thompson activated a new display, showing the combined fleet's latest test results. Ships using Earth's quantum drives combined with Dominion armor. Trading Federation sensors enhanced by human eye. Defense platforms that merged 6 different races' technologies into something entirely new. When we first discovered that alien ship in 1947, she said, humanity had just emerged from a terrible war. We learned then that power without wisdom leads to destruction. That's why we waited, watched, and prepared. Not just preparing weapons and ships, but preparing to help build something better. The council chamber filled with new holograms, ships around every major world, built with combined technology and crewed by mixed species teams. Research stations where scientists from 100 races worked together, breaking through barriers that had stood for millennia. A galaxy starting to unite, not through force or fear, but through shared purpose. Our visitors will find something they didn't expect, Miller smiled. Not a galaxy divided and weak, but one standing together. Earth's revelation wasn't an ending. It was a beginning. A signal chimed. The quantum sensors had new data. The darkness between galaxies was moving faster now, but no one in the chamber showed fear. Around the table, representatives of 1,000 worlds sat together, ready to face whatever came. The day humanity ended pretending had become the day the galaxy started working as one. As the coordinates of the approaching threat became clearer, ships from every race moved into position. Earth had hidden its power for 50 years, waiting for the right moment to help forge a stronger galaxy. That moment had come, and they were ready.